Chakalpatarubhyascha kripasindobhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Tadarapi sanuchena tororivaseshnana amaninamanadena kitanya sadahari. Jai. Welcome you all. Hare Krishna. All right. And what are your all names again? What's that? Axel. Yeah. Axel Rhodes. Yeah. Okay. Josh. Jai. And you was Spencer, right? Taylor. Sorry. Okay. Taylor. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, they gave the talk designation. I didn't give that talk designation, but of course everything is Srila Govinda Maharaj's glories, But why don't we start off? Are there any questions or anything like that? Anything you all want to know? You would like to hear about? As Goswami Maharaj will always say, necessities are the mother of invention. So he always liked to start with questions and like that. So, anyways. No questions, comments? Hare Krishna. Goda.
Jagadananda Prabhu.
Yes.
What is the name of this talk? Is the glories of Srila Govinda Maharaj?
Well, that's what they put down. I mean,
Okay.
that wasn't, I mean.
Let it flow.
And how could I do that in an hour? I mean, I couldn't even do that in a kalpa. I couldn't even do that.
This is gonna sound. I actually don't know how you came to meet Gurudev and sort of like how that. I mean, I would just personally love to hear.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah.
Ending up in Chaitanya Saraswati.
Well, yeah. I joined ISKCON in 1980, and I was praying for a guru like Prabhupada. And at first, it's funny too because it's the power of association, both negatively and positively. So, at first, like they brought, before I'd even joined, they go like, oh, you got to come up one of the 11 gurus, the original. This is back in 1980. They still had the original 11, pod squad from ISKCON, and anyways, so they're like, oh, come and, meet him. And, he comes in his fancy car and he, just comes in real quickly. And, it was not like with Gurudev. Gurudev would greet everybody and hug everybody. And it was so personal and loving, your father, your grandfather. And it was just so, he was aloof and he's, the big guru. Of course, at that time, he was probably only 35 or something, you know what I mean? Been a devotee for 10 years or something, 15, maybe, not even that, but anyways, and I wasn't impressed. But, after a while, everyone's like, ooh, so-and-so, Srila Pod, and, it's like, well, I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm, don't have the vision or whatever. You start to get a little sucked in, but then, then I saw a picture of Srila. Back then, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was the most beloved godbrother of Prabhupada's in ISKCON even. So I saw his picture with Prabhupada, and you could see Prabhupada sort of looking up to him, and he's talking with his hands. Srila Sridhar Maharaj would always talk very graciously and expressively with his hands. So I'm like, wow, who is that? And they're like, oh, that's Prabhupada's favorite godbrother, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And so this is 1980. So I'm like, oh, wow, is he still alive? They said, yeah. And then I said, does he speak English? They said, yeah. Instantly, I thought, that's my guru. Instantly, I started like skipping the Guru Puja. They have Guru Puja every day in ISKCON, which actually Srila Sridhar Maharaj said was too much, just too much, and especially for these young guys, But, so I started like skipping, almost like you're skipping class or something, you know what I mean? Because it just wasn't into them anymore. They tried to foist a few other guys on me too, you know what I mean? And, they brought me in to see this one. Actually, they brought me in to see Bhavananda. But they didn't tell me anything they're like, oh, you want to go to a festival in New York? I'm like, yeah, sure, anything to get out of collecting, Plus, New York had a great temple. It was a big, huge, the original temple in New York. It was beautiful. And so we go down there, and they didn't tell me, but they wanted me to get initiated by him because he was a, quote, a zonally friendly guru. They had that meant like, you were owned by the temple that you had joined more than you were actually owned by the guru. You know what I mean? So he couldn't pull you away, to his zone and no, you were owned by him. You had the rights, the contract. So they bring me in, but they don't tell me, and they're like, "Oh, you want to meet Bhavananda?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll meet anybody." And so they bring me in, and first thing he says to me is, "Why? So why do you want to become my disciple?" He was very flamboyant, and Anyways, I said, "Well, I'm not sure I do." And he was a little taken back, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, you got till 4 o'clock tomorrow to change your mind, And I thought, what? I thought you're supposed to study the disciple, and the disciple's supposed to study the guru for 6 months. What's, you know what I mean? And and then my temple president, this Naranjana Swami, he wasn't Swami then, but he was really nice. He was laughing. He goes, like, only you would say that to him, Dr. Jeff, And so anyway, so then, and then I didn't take, but then the regional secretary, Swami, he tried to "Oh, you really should take from him. Oh, yeah, otherwise, I know, if your wife ends up taking from Satsuru Maharaj, she'll move to Gita Nagari and bloop in 10 years, like he's Trikala Gyan, knower of past, present, and future, and I still didn't go for it. And then when I didn't go for it, again, he praised me. "Oh, well, that was good. You didn't go for it." But he told me to, they're just, So all this time I'm focused on Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I'm thinking, oh, he's my guru, And then, back then, actually, in Satsarup's tape ministry, he had 2 tapes when they were talking to Srila Sridhar Maharaj about, they'd had some problems with Tamal Krishna and Hansaduta Maharaj, and he had sort of saved them. He sort of told them, hey, don't oust them. They're your god brothers. Don't do anything publicly when you chastise your god brothers especially who have disciples like this. You can't, you can do things behind closed doors privately, like this. But he said, you have to take them back. But he gave all these beautiful examples. And when I heard, the one example he gave was, he said, this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj on the tape. And he started the tape off by Satsuru Maharaj going, and it was so nice to hear from our senior godbrother, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, because he was speaking not in a cheap way, but in a realized way. And so anyways, of course, a year later, they're all changed their tune on all that type of stuff, you know what I mean, when the politics. See, they got afraid. When Srila Sridhar Maharaj started getting a few disciples, and, actually I was the first non-initiated devotee in ISKCON. There were some people like Mukunda Mala, who's Mahayogi Maharaj, he was second initiated, and some people had gone for sannyas, but non-initiated in the temple, bhaktas. I was the first one who left, and I was a big collector. So they had an emergency GBC meeting when I left, uh-oh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, really, he's getting us now. He's hitting us in the pocketbook. We better... And so anyways, so Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave the example, as he said, when Queen Elizabeth was, not Elizabeth, Queen Victoria was first asked to pass some judgment over some army person there in India I don't know what he had exactly done, but he'd done something wrong. And so she was supposed to sort of give sentence or pass judgment upon him. And she said, well, the first time, especially when I'm asked to pass judgment, I have to deal with mercy. So mercy's above justice, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj liked to say. That's actually in the Bible. And so she said, can't you say anything good about this man? And they said, yes, well, he has a very good family life. He's very, very good in this way, very responsible. So she said, okay, mercy must be shown, especially my first time. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, so in the same way, with your godbrother gurus, show them some mercy and, toleration, and, don't just oust them so quick. And then the other example, what was the other example? God, right now I can't even think of it. I'm a little tired. But anyways, his examples were so perfect. I thought, his examples are so perfect. His analogies are so perfect. They're not explainable by mere gyan or punditism, but this is Krishna himself speaking through him. And, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was actually noted for his expert use of analogies by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I mean, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And, what was the other one? It'll come to me probably. But anyways, yeah, so even more. So when I heard those tapes, and, I thought, so I'm always trying to figure out, well, how do I get to him? How do I go there, and where is he, And so then I just overheard somebody sitting next to me. They were saying, we heard that this Sudhir, well, he wasn't Sudhir then. He was Dear Krishna Maharaj. It just started a temple for Srila Sridhar Maharaj in San Jose, out in San Jose. I thought, oh, wow. It's, And actually, for 1 month, we were listed in the BTG because Jayatirtha, because Jayatirtha was aligned with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, so he took us in as like, this is my temple, or, ultimately, under me. And so we were in 1 month, San Jose 13th Street was in the BTG. So that's probably like January of 1981. No, 82. And, no, that'd be, 82. And so anyways, so I'm trying to figure out, well, how to get a hold of him. So I called up the restaurant in the BTG in San Francisco, and I said, hey, do I know how to get a hold of this Dear Krishna Maharaj? I think I got a hold of Rasangi. And she goes, oh, yeah, well, this is his number. So I got the number. So I called him. So Goswami tells it later. He says he thought it was like a setup by Rameshwar Maharaj, and that it was all a plant, and they were recording the phone calls, and like, you know what I mean? So he's like, I called him, Jai, Jai Maharaj, this is Bhakti Jeff. I'm calling from Kansas City. I want to take initiation from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he said, oh, really? And how did you happen to hear about him and whatnot? And then I told him, and finally I convinced him that I was legit. So he's like, oh, well, hey, we're just getting the temple going. Why don't you come out and, you know what I mean, and help me, get the temple, because they had just gotten it in December. And so this was probably, the 25th, right around Christmas time of 81. And he said, yeah, well, why don't you come out? So me, my wife, then Madhumati, and my daughter Jamuna, and then we stole one other bhakta from the temple and brought him with us too. So we flew out on New Year's Eve, and Goswami, picked us up at the airport in San Francisco, and we helped start there. And actually, even Goswami Maharaj, he'll publicly say, hey, if I hadn't have come, because they had a second balloon payment. So we used to do record collecting in those days. So we were doing big. So he said, we wouldn't have made the second balloon payment if I hadn't have come, Yeah. And then like me and Brisa Copy, we paid for the first publication ever of Search for Sri Krishna, the first 2 chapters in America. And helped do proofreading on the books there and whatnot. And he said, well, why don't you come to India with me? This is beforehand, because he was first telling me how to go to India. And then he said, well, if you want, why don't you come out here? And then I'm going to be going in a month or so. So we did. We collected like anything until the day before Nityananda's appearance day. And then we flew to India, myself, Goswami, Brahma, and Bhakta Priya. And we all flew to there and saw Guru Maharaj. And, yeah, 82. 82, yeah. So, right around Nityananda Prabhu's, we came the day after because of the time difference, but day after, something like that, of Nityananda's appearance day. And then I got initiated on Gaur Purnima in 1982. Same day, Ashram Maharaj took sannyas. He had just come. Ashram Maharaj was scheduled to take sannyas from Hridayananda. He was one of the rare, because you see, they had a sannyas moratorium. ISKCON had stopped a guru moratorium and a sannyas moratorium. And Guru Maharaj didn't agree with it. And when he spoke out against, he said, I don't agree with this. This is a bigoted decision. Basically, who are you to say somebody's inspired to do that service of either sannyas or even giving initiation on behalf of their guru? Who are you as a body, ecclesiastical, societal body voting, to say you can't do it? How can you tell what he has in his heart? His guru may have appeared to him in a dream or something and told him, you do this. And Srila Maharaj said someone should become a guru when they see it's an absolute necessity for service to their guru. That's the reason for doing it. And but as soon as he criticized a little thing, then he went against us. He's criticizing ISKCON, And that was when Srila Maharaj made the famous comment. Because they said, well, whatever we decide individually, that may be wrong, no doubt. That may be fallible. But together, as a group, when the 24 of us get together, whatever we decide, that is Krishna's will coming down. So he said, finite plus finite equals infinite? So anyway, then ashram was scheduled. He was one of the rare people who had actually been approved to take sannyas from Hridayananda. And actually, Janardhan Maharaj was Pancha Dravida, and he was in the second wave of gurus that year, 82. So he became, I don't know, maybe him and Gopal Krishna and one or two others, not many. And then, Ashram Raj was scheduled to take initiation from Hridayananda. But you see, it hadn't been banned. There wasn't a total outright ban on coming to Srila Maharaj at that point. This was right before the Mayapur festival in 1982. So everybody was like the hip thing to do for people who were a little senior and whatnot. All the GBCs were coming over, and anybody who sort of was a little more intelligent and a little more in the know. Let's go see Srila Maharaj. It sounds pretty cool, right? And so he came over, and once he came over, I think maybe he went back to get his stuff. But other than that, he just forget Hridayananda, man, you know what I mean? And he took initiation, and actually the day we arrived, Giri, New Jersey Giri, he had taken Maharaj, he had taken sannyas, and this, I think Bharti Maharaj had also, American Bharti Maharaj had also taken initiation that day. And, but anyways, so that was it. And, Guru, so we came up in the night, we came up in the evening, and, it's all dark. I don't think, the light, back then the electricity always was going out. You always had to have a little kerosene lantern and everything. And we come up and it's all dark, and Guru Maharaj is behind his mosquito net, and then they sort of pull up the thing. We're in the room, and you just sort of see him, just like. And immediately, Srila Govinda Maharaj then, he wasn't in his sannyas veshan, he was temple president. He would serve the devotees like you wouldn't believe. I mean, he would make arrangements for your blanket or your mosquito net and your mattress and just everything, medicine, anything. Constantly just trying to serve the devotees. He'd be coming in the mat. And, I'd be 100 feet away, and he'd give his dandavats to me before I could, hit the ground. I mean, that's how humble and, sweet, just so amazing, And, he's, and he'll always just so affectionate and loving and, and somehow or another he took a shine to me, so, right away, so, you know what I mean? And then later I gave him he saw, actually, while I was there, and it was Krishna's arrangement that I had left that night to go rescue Jayatirtha's disciples. You see, that was when actually, what's his name came over. He was one of the rare ones, Devashish, that came, 13 of them came over from Mayapur. And when Jayatirtha left, they gave Jayatirtha, this Maharaj, he was one of the big ISKCON gurus, and they gave him the ultimatum. It's either ISKCON or Srila Maharaj or ISKCON. You choose. He said, okay, bye. And so most of his disciples were out on parikrama, going to the holy places. So he came over there with just like 13, and Devashish was one of them. And so then we're telling him, hey, man, you got to rescue the rest of your disciples because, man, it's not going to be good, you know. And he's like, okay, why don't you and Nadia go over there? And so we went over to Mayapur to rescue him. But on my way, when I was just leaving the Mat, I saw Jai Pataka with some, like, you know, big bodyguard with the giant maglite flashlights, you know, coming. And then also Kirtanananda coming. Same thing with another guy with a big flashlight and bodyguard on 2 separate rickshaws. And I remember they just had this look on their face because they made Srila Sridhar Maharaj cry that night. It was really, I mean, the tape's still out there. If you listen to it, it's so sad. It's pathetic, you know. And, you know, it was Krishna's arrangement that I would have been there. So, you know, then I went over to Mayapur because, you know, when they were almost starting to fight. And Jai Pataka threw his hand over Goswami's mouth, and Brahma's trying to pull his arm off. This is all in front of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he's crying, how you are treating me, this is not right. Your Guru Maharaj would not have liked this, and, you know, like this is all good. And I would have just, like, thrown him over the balcony, you know, if I was there. So. And, yeah, anyways, it was, you know, something else. But, yeah, so those were the early days.
What an amazing journey.
What's that?
I said, what an amazing journey.
Yeah. And when we went over there, it's just sort of a funny story, you know. So we were sent over there to rescue him, bring everybody else back over to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, his disciples, like 150 of them or something, you know. And so we go over there, and I'm with this Nadia, who was a English guy or something, and so we're walking around, and one of the you know, I think it was Shiva Ram Swami or something, he saw us, oh, Nadia, there's a very nice meeting for you for all the Jai Tirtha disciples right now, why don't you come? He's like, oh, and who are you? I was like, oh, I'm a Bhakta from Detroit, which means I'm in Jai Tirtha's zone. So they're like, oh, good, then you can come too. So they bring us into this meeting, and everyone else is all sitting down, and everyone else is coming through the back door. They bring us through the front door, and Satsvarup Maharaj is like right where Shileka is, and then Haridayananda is right now, and they're just, you know, saying all the reasons why. Satsvarup gave the infamous example then, like, well, a guru's just like a car. If you get a lemon, you trade it in for a new model. So Shrudha Shrava gave the funny example. He goes, well, I guess the 1977 models were all lemons. That's the original gurus in ISKCON. They were 77, you know? So anyway, so he looked. So Satsvarup knows me because they wanted me to get initiated by him. And like I told you, they had this emergency GBC meeting when I left. And so he's looking at me and he's a little shocked. He's like, Bhakti Jeff, what? Bhakti Jeff. And I don't even answer him. And, you know, Nadia's giving his dandavats. And I'm like poking Nadia, come on, say something. Because they all knew Nadia, you know, he's a Jai Tirtha disciple, you know. So Nadia's a little timid. So he goes, excuse me, but Jaya Tirtha told me that... And, you know, someone goes, oh, we should just listen to what these GBC and gurus have to say. And I just said, well, I know that your guru 1/2 an hour ago told you all to get up right now, not listen to any more of this guru aparad, and come over to Navadvip to Srila Sridhar Maharaj's mat. So if you want to follow your guru, people all started getting up. And then everyone was like, no, just let's listen. And then Satsvarup just had gotten up and went outside and came back with a couple of goons, you know, and they come up to me. They come up to me. But I mean, they didn't grab me. I was compliant. We just all walked out, and I'm outside. And, you know, they walked me outside, and, you know, everyone else just, the sauce got lost, and they sat down, and nobody came. But then as soon as I'm outside, then I see Rameshwar coming, like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, yeah. He's like, get him. So I just start booking as fast as I can out of Mayapur. So I'm like running for my life, you know, and a few people are chasing. And I get to the end, and it was like the miracle of miracles. There was there was a rickshaw walla that was like pointed toward the Ganga. Everybody else is all neatly tucked in. This guy, and usually you get in a rickshaw and it's like, Tashtaka. And you're like, no. It takes you like 5 minutes to negotiate the price, Okay. And I just said, Jabin, Cholo, Cholo. And the guy just booked. And so we lost everybody. But even that day, crossing the Ganga, when I was coming over, we barely made it across. In those days, they didn't have engines on the boats. They had to pole across the Ganges. Yeah. And the storms and everything, because they made these heavy offenses against Srila Sridhar. The sky was dark, and there was like lightning and storms, and it was inauspicious omens were really present, Like I said, when I saw those big so-called gurus coming, and my vision of them was Ravana's chariot being driven by asses. Seriously, that's what I thought, And so anyways, so then when we got back, I was like, okay, what do you, so they all planned, and Goswami and Jayatirtha and everybody, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll make videos of Jayatirtha giving instructions to his disciples on what to do. And immediately they sent everybody out to the airport, to fly to their respective places, like Detroit and in England, Bhaktivedanta Manor, and, so one disciple from each place with a video to show that Jayatirtha, their guru, had said to do this. And ISKCON didn't do anything till the next day. So they had like almost a 24-hour jump on everybody. So some places, like in Detroit, the guy was maybe a little wimpy or whatever, nothing happened. But like in Bhaktivedanta Manor in England, it almost emptied out of all the Jayatirtha's disciples. So they went from, 150 people in these temples to like, 5, 10 Prabhupada disciples type thing, you know what I mean? And anyways, yeah, so, and Madhusudan Maharaj, he was in that group, you know what I mean? So.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did Guru Maharaj ever give you any kind of specific instructions that you feel comfortable sharing, that you felt like were kind of particularly anchoring in your own?
He didn't give me any specific instructions so much.
Okay, maybe. Something that Guru Maharaj said that maybe particularly you feel like you can orient on, and you're like that kind of struck you. Like, what was the first thing maybe that you can remember where something that struck you where you thought, oh, this is like an astonishing expression?
It was no one thing. It was just his overall sweetness and mood, and you know what I mean? And it's like, one time somebody brought me up there, I think it was Purnananda, he brought me up there, and we just start talking to Guru Maharaj, and just like normally, people think like, oh, yeah, it's some big formal thing. He's asking me about my father, what'd your father do, and this and that, it's the first thing, and I'm just talking back and forth with him, like that. And, no, but Srila Govinda Maharaj did. Srila Govinda Maharaj did a lot. Because I had, that's the thing, even for almost all of us, even, that's why anybody who claims to be a Srila Sridhar Maharaj disciple who isn't a full 100% Shiksha disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj, I totally reject. I don't even accept him as my god brother. I mean, really, basically, I don't. You know what I mean? If they're not, because they're disobeying Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj said, if you have any faith in me, I have this same faith that Govinda Maharaj has everything I have and more and can give that to you. Like there's somebody in the Berkeley temple. He never ever got into Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but Srila Govinda Maharaj, but I don't even give him the time of day. I mean, why should I? You know what I mean? He's offensive to, my everything, It's like, what does it say in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? the Acharya Mam Vijnanam, I am the guru, and one who differentiates between the initiating guru, Diksha guru, and the shelter-giving Shiksha guru makes an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. It's like, I like Krishna in the form of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but I don't like it in this, it's the same thing with the Prabhupada people. You couldn't see Srila Sridhar Maharaj is your own guru's guru, Shiksha guru. It's like Hansaduta Maharaj, in his last days, he was up in Berkeley, very humble and very, he got so much. If you meet the original Prabhupada disciples, they have much more the mood of, like the people who had association with Srila Govinda Maharaj and stuff, the family mood, the informal mood, more real. Well, just loving mood, not about just the rules and the regulations and, how they're dressing and whatnot, It's like, a lot of you probably know this story, but one time, sort of, it exemplifies what I'm talking about. Govinda Maharaj was sitting with Srila and Jagannath Puri, and first Siddhanti Maharaj came, and Siddhanti Maharaj, never really cared for how he was dressing, and necessarily, wrinkled dhotis and maybe ripped or whatever, and then a few minutes later, an ISKCON devotee came, and he's all pakan, kurta, all pressed, and very, very nice, very first class, So Govinda Maharaj turns to Sridhar Shravan and he says, "What's the difference between us and ISKCON?" And Sridhar said he was racking his brain to try to come up with some big philosophical answer about what the difference is. And he said a few things. Govinda Maharaj said, "No, they dress better than we do." He was such a transcendental humorist. I mean, believe me, Govinda Maharaj is funny. He would always just make you laugh like anything. I remember one time I'm serving him some dates. He goes, "Ooh, date for 70-year-old man?" It's like when Ravi Shankar got married and he was like 75. Govinda Maharaj was like, "Nobody in India could even believe this, and, but yeah, Prabhupada called him a transcendental humorist, and he's so funny. And another time, this was a wonderful thing. I was sitting alone with Srila Govinda Maharaj in Puri, Jagannath Puri, and some young boy came, he's like 19 years old or something. He goes, "Maharaj, I've been to every temple in town asking if I can join, but no one will let me join. Will you let me join?" Govinda Maharaj turns to me and says, "What do you think, Prabhu? Should I let him join?" I said, "I like to give everybody a chance." And he goes, "Yes, that's my mood too. You can join." And, he stayed like a year. He took initiation. That's to his eternal benefit. It's not that you have to prove yourself right. You have, it's like, just don't prove yourself wrong, later on. Or, but, and just like what Govinda Maharaj would always say, easy to oust, hard to engage. It was very rare that they'd throw somebody out of the temple. I mean, you really had to do something bad. You could basically be a crazy and a lazy, and you could be allowed in the, you know what I mean? You just couldn't, be offensive, like that, And, yeah, anyways, continue. Feel free to interject and ask more questions or whatever, you know what I mean? That's the, but yeah, Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would always say, "Serve Govinda Maharaj, serve Govinda Maharaj." Like the famous story with Goswami grabbing him 3 times. "Serve Govinda Maharaj. You understand? Serve Govinda Maharaj." Shaking his head, "Serve Govinda Maharaj." Three times, When you do something 3 times, it's emphatic, it's positive, it's like, 100%, you have to do this. And the old rule was in the Mat, if Guru Maharaj said something, but then Govinda Maharaj said something else, even Guru Maharaj would say, follow what Govinda Maharaj said. That's how it was. And You know, he knew I liked dobs, you know, coconuts, green coconuts. So one time he was having the young boys there climb the coconut tree and get me a dob. So I got this dob, you know, and then they were all excited, like, wow, he never lets us climb the coconut trees. So then they're climbing, and you know, other trees, get some coconuts, and then there was one they're trying to get, and it was like high up, and you know, I'm a Westerner, so I'm a lot taller than they are. You know, they're like, here, get it. So, you know, I jump up and grab the thing, you know, and they're like, but I'm like, I don't even want it. You know, I've already had 2 dobs. You ought to give me, you know, how many dobs can you drink, you know? And especially when you get one from Srila Govinda Maharaj, it's like, it's almost like one of the mangoes of Mahaprabhu, you know, Mahaprabhu planted a mango tree once. Instantly it grew up, and it had no skin and no seed. It was like pure juice, and it would satisfy a man for a day, you know. So same thing, Govinda Maharaj, he could, you know, he's so mystical, so magical, whatever he would do, you know, he was like, you know. So anyways, so I get this job, and they're like, and I'm like, well, I can't really drink it, but like, no. So, you know, I drink it. And then Govinda Maharaj comes, and he goes, that was first dob of tree, first dob of the first mango ever of that tree. It is meant for Mahaprabhu. And I felt so bad, you know. And I could have, in one sense, it wasn't my fault. You know, these kids, I think they're living there. They should know the ropes, you know, and they sort of like forced me to do it. You know, it wasn't my idea. You know. But I took full blame. I didn't, you know, if I had like, you know, and plus, you know, he's a grihasta then, curly hair, and you know what I mean? You know, I could have thought, well, hey, chastise them. What are you talking about? It wasn't my fault, you know? In other words, I could have been a punk-ass bitch, and I would have, like, lost all the association of Govinda Maharaj forever, basically. You know, but you know, and to this day, I feel bad. I took Mahaprabhu's, you know, first dob, you know what I mean?
So what is that the first dob that the tree ever makes?
Yes, exactly.
That's Mahaprabhu's.
Yes, it must go, you know, to Mahaprabhu. You know,
I never
yeah,
heard
you know,
that.
I mean, it's waited 7 years to produce this dob,
Yeah.
and now, you know what I mean, you know, so,
That's beautiful.
yeah, you know, so, but once again, like I say, you know, was totally humble, so it just shows, you know, this, you know, etiquette and proper humility mood with everybody, but especially with seniors and whatnot, you know. You see, you know, I harp on etiquette so much because etiquette makes for, and this is all from Guru Maharaj, he says it's the jewel in a Vaishnav, and it makes for sympathetic dealings, harmonious dealings with nature, with the environment. You know, just like why do we see that society is sort of like collapsing? Because kids are all punk-ass bitches, you know, and they don't respect their parents, and they're rude, and they don't listen, and they, you know, all this stuff, and everything breaks down. But, you know, it's like, and especially in the Mat, Guru Maharaj said there's 2 things, the difference between Vani and Vapu. Vani is the instructions of the spiritual master, and Vapu are the personal association, being actually with the spiritual master. So he said the difference is with Vapu, you get to see, well, the first thing he said was you get to see his etiquette, his dealings, and their practical dealings. So you see these things. You see how he deals, you know, with situations and devotees and all that, and how he gives respect, you know. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, Keshav Maharaj of Gaudiya Math, you know, he said, you know, we do not treat, you know, you do not treat a Madhyamadikari the same way you treat an Uttamadikari. And similarly, you don't treat a Kanishta Adhikari, meaning beginning devotee, like an Uttamadikari. You know, as Guru Maharaj would always say, non-discrimination is the sign of the half-stupid. So that's it. But so many people are like, or they just buy into, you know, the external dress. It's all, you know, oh, he's a Maharaj, he's a this, oh, he's an appointed guru. You know, Guru Maharaj, even Guru Maharaj later, when, you know, things went bad and they all went against him in ISKCON and whatnot, he goes, and if someone says, why did I, you know, like, you know, why did I support these people so much? He says, because I am a simple man. You know, he said it was all recommendatory. You know, nothing's a set appointment. It's the only absolute appointment I've ever known of is Srila Sridhar Maharaj to Srila Govinda Maharaj. Everything else is like, I recommend him. He can be Acharya if he comes up to the standard. And this is what Prabhupada said too. He said it's not by appointment. It's not by hereditary. It's by qualification. It's by, that sincere submission to their guru. And Guru Maharaj said, if you go to judge a Vaishnava, how you judge a Vaishnava is how dear are they to their spiritual master? How much love and in the heart of their spiritual master are they? And how much love do they have for their spiritual master? So that's the thing. It's not by anything external, and people get trapped in these little, labels and badges and whatnot, and then they even go against their own heart because of it. This society doing the rah-rah for this person or that person, and they they just get swept along in the rah-rah dance, you know what I mean? But they're thinking, wow, that's not what my heart's telling me, I don't see this person like Guru Maharaj, like Srila Govinda Maharaj, but they can't discriminate. But one who's sincere is never cheated. Nahi kalyana kastya durgatim tachta gashtati. Guru Maharaj would always quote this verse from the Gita. If you're sincere, you won't be cheated in finding a guru in anything. If you're sincere, you'll know what is the real thing, And ask somebody, he would always say, if you have doubts about certain things, then you ask another man. And he said, and what is the difference between criticism and fault finding? Fault finding and criticism and just sort of what's that? Yeah, discrimination, basically. Yeah, he said it's the mood of loving rectification from a senior to a junior. He said because correction cannot come from a junior to a senior. It's just like us who have kids. We know sometimes our kids will say something to us, and we know they're right. But it's like, you don't have any position to say that. It's not your place to say that, Govinda Maharaj even gives the example that one time Jai Tirtha was confessing his faults to Govinda Maharaj, saying all these things. I'm this and I'm this and that. And he said one of his disciples, Jai Tirtha's disciples, became emboldened then to also say, add on almost that type of. You forgot this one. And immediately he said, Jai Tirtha became like a lion, like, that is not your position to chastise me. But that's it, a junior, it's not their position. You might be right, you might whatever, but just, like I say, if I had tried to say something to Govinda Maharaj that time when he was chastising me, my whole life would have been different. You know what I mean? Whereas, it's like, I would always try to go there. I went there in festival times, but I also would go a lot of times in off season. So I would be all alone with Govinda Maharaj, for, a month or more, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, just basically me, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and his disciple. I mean, his servant, And I remember one time, I'm up there, you're there from like 3 in the morning until 8 at night, basically. He goes to sleep and I go back and, whatever. But one day I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm bothering him just here. I'm not really even asking questions. Most of the time I'm just sitting there, So I didn't go. He goes, Prabhu, where were you yesterday? I missed you. I'm like, oh, Gurudev, I just thought I'm bothering you. I'm sitting there. I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. He goes, no, Prabhu, I always want you by my side, And, yeah, you're always just so amazing, sweet in that way. It was funny, one time I was doing night guard duty there, and it was like 3 a.m., and it was like a pile of fresh, almost like steaming dog dew, maybe 20 feet away from his staircase, And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, oh, God, But, I mean, it's not right in front of his staircase. It's 20 feet away, but still I'm thinking, And he walks down the stairs, and, they had hired, ladies who would clean up things like that and whatnot. And Gurudev sees me looking at it, and he knows what I'm thinking, He goes, no, Prabhu, don't clean it up. It's okay. The ladies will get it later, And I'm like, oh, okay, Gurudev. And immediately I clean it up. Immediately I defy what he said. And he was happy, actually. He was So I disobeyed him for service like that. But and he told me, personally, he said, Prabhu, what you are thinking, do. What others tell you to do, don't do.
That's like Sri Lanka also.
They really? Oh, good. Nice. Yeah, that's a rare one, because usually we hear as devotees it's the opposite. Usually it's the opposite. Don't think what your mind's telling you. No, go to a senior Vaishnava and ask them, or take their direction. But, but he knew that had like saved me to go to Gurmaraj, and whatnot. And, then there were fools who were trying to dissuade people from Srila Govinda Maharaj, So same thing, but to thine own self and thine own heart be true. Guru Maharaj would quote Shakespeare like this. Yeah. And, another time I was in Jagannath Puri, and it was the same thing. I was with Gurudev like almost all the time, and so then I thought, I'm just bothering him. This was before that, the other time. So I was going up, and with Narasingha Maharaj was there. So I was hanging with him a lot. I come down, and he goes, Prabhu, why are you up there with him? And he goes, stay with me, and because he's not good association. And then I said, well, I'm not so much taking his associations. I'm telling him things. He goes, what are you telling him? I said, I told him where higher seed is present, lower seed should not be planted. Because, for guru, if somebody's like a junior guru, in one sense, there isn't such a thing as a junior guru, but, we do know there's Madhyamadikaris and maybe even Kanishtadikaris. You shouldn't be a beginner and be a guru, but there are a lot of them, as a matter of fact. But even a middle-class guru, if in the presence of a Uttamadikari, it means totally the highest class devotee, they shouldn't be so eager to give initiation. They should send them to the higher seed. Why, if you just got some thing that's not going to produce that nicely, give them to the highest, And so I said, yeah, where higher seed is present, lower. And Gurudev's like, oh, you said that to him? And he liked it, because sometimes there would be different problems there at the Mat, with different devotees. And I'm like, let's just deal with it. Let's just call them out on it. These guys are causing these problems and it's just ongoing. Let's just bring it to a head, like confront them directly, nicely, but, try to rectify it. And usually, as soon as we did, they would leave, or, like that. And Gurudev would say, we need this type of strength, Prabhu. I'm very happy with this type of, strength like that. Not to tolerate this, especially offenses to your guru, and people who are offensive to your guru, and they're saying all these bad things in the mat. It's like, get out of here. You want to go do that? Go someplace else, And anyways. Yeah, but it was really sweet, behind closed doors with Srila Govinda Maharaj, he would say a lot of things, and, people think, oh, someone, he only sees the good in everybody. No, they see everything. And they're pointed out sometimes the bad as instruction to us. We also may have some of those tendencies within us too. And he would also do the boomerang instruction. He knew you needed to hear something, but it would be too much to give it directly to you. It would affront your ego too much, So he would talk about somebody else, knowing that the boomerang instruction would come back and it would hit you and cut you. Like, oh, wow, that's me also, I call him the samurai guru, you know what I mean? Because he has such a razor-sharp samurai. There's a story of the samurai, and he's whipping it around, trying to fight somebody, and he, at the guy's, neck. And the guy laughs and goes, you missed. And he goes, no, shake your head. So he's like that. He could cut your, because sadhu means one who cuts. So he could cut out your false ego, but in a nice way. You know what I mean? It's like, I know somebody who was a, big, huge guy in ISKCON and big GBC and whatnot, and he came to Guru Maharaj he came to Govinda Maharaj for a little while, and he'd actually promised to give a couple thousand a month. He's a pretty rich guy, and I was friends with this guy previously, so I thought, wow, never in a million years would he actually come. But but he came. But then he ended up going with this other offender, big Maharaj, because he goes, well, you know, Govinda Maharaj would always make me feel uncomfortable because he was always praising me. But this other guy's always chastising me, and I like that, you know what I mean? So then what's, you know, see, when you would get praised by Srila Govinda Maharaj, it's like, you know, I would like literally laugh some. I said, no, Gurudev, that's you. You're like that. I'm not like, you know, but it makes you feel like, oh my God, you know, this, you know, the sun, it's like the sun's praising the firefly, you know, I mean, you know, it really makes you humble. Where if you're thinking, yeah, I'm so sinful, I was so gloriously sinful, you know what I mean? And someone say, yeah, you're sinful. Yeah, you're right. And this was this guy, he's like an ex-Marine, you know. And so he left and he went with the other guy, you know. And like Govinda Maharaj said about that other guy, yeah, he can quote slokas like the wind, but he's an offender. So big deal. He can quote slokas like the wind, you know what I mean? You know, what's your realization of that, you know? And you know, so... yeah, it's not a cheap thing, and it's all about Guru Kripa. If we can get the mercy of a genuine Sat Guru, whew, you know, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Ji, Guru Krishna Prashade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij. So many universes we've been wandering through since time immemorial. If we have that supreme good fortune of getting the seed of divine love, the creeper of devotion, planted in our heart by the genuine Sat Guru Dev, it's of infinite value. Infinite value. You know, it's like, you know, I forgot who was just repeating it the other day, but, you know, in Russia, he did. Govinda Maharaj said, and it's on a tape, he said, I am seeing you all are liberated. All my disciples, they're already liberated. Because he's seeing the eternal picture. He's seeing, and like he would say, the only thing that can check our progress is Vaishnava Aparada, fences to the devotees. He says, I'm thinking these other rules. One other time he said, I'm thinking all these rules and regulations, this is more of an ISKCON thing. I am seeing the only thing that can destroy devotion is Vaishnava Aparad. And he said, I do not want any rule or regulation to come in between the service of Mahaprabhu. You know, and that's a very important point, you know what I mean? You know, and actually I was just reading the other day Shama Sundar's book, Chasing the Rhinos with the Swami. And he was saying he was really happy because at the Swami, the mantra rock dance, remember, with the Grateful Dead and whatnot in San Francisco with Prabhupada, he goes, Prabhupada gave this beautiful lecture. He goes, and luckily he didn't mention the four regulative principles because that would have blown out half the audience. Well, that's it, you know. So I don't want any rule or regulation to come in between to disturb the service of Mahaprabhu, you know. And, you know, fan the spark, whatever it is, you know, encourage, and, you know, and be nice and friendly. You know, Govinda Maharaj would always say like that, like, you know, he would praise like the women here a lot. He would say, because they're greeting the guests, they're serving the guests. You know, I mean, you know, guests come up here and, you know, we don't say hi to them. We don't even, you know, like, what's your name, Prabhu? What do you? Jacob. Nice to meet you. And your name? What's that? Ethan. All right. Very wonderful. Jagadananda Das. Wonderful to meet you all. So, but there's not, without that personal, affectionate, loving dealings, you know what? Everyone's looking for love. Everyone wants that family, loving, you know, thing. And, you know, people, oh, well, he didn't do this, or he didn't go say this to this guy, or, oh, I saw him, he was associating with this guy, and that guy's against this guy, so therefore I can't be liking that guy, because then that guy, you know, it's like, give it up, man. Just, you know, it's a family. There's going to be little squabbles, but try not to, you know, get involved in that. Try to be above that, you know. And, you know, Guru Maharaj, when Prabhupada came with some disciples there, he asked them, I think it was maybe the first time he came with a bunch of disciples, and he said, Guru Maharaj said, what has attracted you to this Krishna consciousness? And he said that one of the ladies, she said, oh, we wanted to join the family of Krishna. So Guru Maharaj said he liked that very much, you know what I mean? And, Yeah. And, like Prabhupada sent, like a Chutananda and then maybe the Shrishikeshananda, was it? And, to Guru Maharaj. And he said, he is my Shiksha Guru, so what to speak of the benefit you can receive by his association? And he would quote like a Chutananda. He said that a Chutananda Swami told him that when he was in Jagannath Puri, the Pandas, because Westerners can't go in the Jagannath Puri temple because, we were cow eaters and, like that, so we're permanently contaminated according to them type thing. So, even though, like Prabhupada saying, they're all, 90% of Bengal and Orissa are fish eaters anyways, But, so Achutananda and Guru Maharaj would always quote this. Achutananda said, well, what is more powerful, the contaminating effect of cow eating or the purifying effect of Harinam, of chanting the names of Hare Krishna? And they couldn't say anything because, of course, the purifying effect of chanting Hare Krishna. It says that even one namabhas, one shadow reflection of the name, one twilight dawning of the name can eradicate more sins than you could ever commit. We never want to chant with the intention of like it's a karmic scrubby, you know what I mean? That's like the seventh offense, sinning on the strength of chanting, so we don't want to do that. But that's the effect in the background, and it's just so purifying. But then the cure for operatic chanting, more offensive chanting, is more and more chanting. And, even Srila Govinda Maharaj said, without quantity, the quality won't be there. Because that's the cure for nama aparad, for offensive chanting, is more and more. Constant chanting. And, that's why Srila Govinda Maharaj would always stress, Tanara pisanuchena torodiva seshna manina manina kirtaniya sadari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all due respect to others, expecting no honor in return. Only in such a state of mind can one chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So, because unless you're being humble like that, you're going to be disturbed, he said. He would always say the hot principle: humility, offering obeisances, respect, and tolerance. So if you're feeling hot-headed or whatever, then try to get humble and follow the hot principle, and because he said if you're not doing that, then you'll be disturbed and you won't be able to chant. But if you're giving this honor to everybody, then everyone will be your friend, no one will be your enemy, and you'll be very peaceful. It's like one time I remember I was out at Giri Maharaj's in Camden, New Jersey. And it's a real, right where he is isn't so bad, but a couple miles away, it's like, it's the ghetto. So I'm putting some gas in my truck, and this guy looks at me, and he goes, what are you looking at? And I go, oh, I'm just smiling at you. He goes, oh, okay. So I showed him hey, you're my friend. No problems, you know what I mean? If I said nothing, well, you calling me nothing? So that's it. We can, it says, Dira Dira Jana Priya Priya Karo. The six Goswamis, they were dear to the gentles, to the gentlemen, the gentle and the ruffians alike. Because they were completely non-envious. They're not looking at a low life as a low life. They're looking at his low life as a spirit soul servant, eternal servant of Krishna. Jiveta Srupoi Krishnara Nityadas. That's who we all are. Externally, we may be a low life, but internally, we're a servant of Krishna. That's who we are. We're like Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, if you even just saw your own soul, what to speak of the super soul or Krishna? And super soul is outrageous, beyond glorious. And Krishna is even more beyond glorious than the super soul. But then he said, even if you saw your individual soul, the Jivatma, you would faint. You'd faint just seeing yourself, your real self. So that's everybody, no matter how much was so-called low life or whatever. But if we're, giving this honor and affection and attraction, to them, they're like, oh, he's my friend, you know what I mean? And, you know, everyone, he said, make everyone your friend, no one your enemy, and then you'll be very peaceful, and you can always chant, like that. And anyways.
That's also not
What's that?
obstructing Gauranga's.
Say what?
It's not obstructing Gauranga's flow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as soon as the ego kicks in and anger kicks in and, it destroys the intelligence, anger destroys the intelligence and, so we always have to have that mood. As he would say, that's the number one verse. All the ocean of the Vedas, Tanada, the third verse of the Shikshastakam of Lord Chaitanya, he only wrote down 8 prayers. And that's the third one. 8 prayers. Everything is actually in there. Everything is in those 8 prayers, And, anyways, so he would stress that, And you see, he would always do that. I mean, I remember one time somebody came. He was a Guru Maharaj disciple, Westerner, but, he was offensive. And Gurudev just like overwhelmed him with affection and brought him around. Totally switched him around. He could have thought, the guy's a punk ass bitch, But he twisted him around, and you know what I mean. And he again, brought him back in the fold by that love and affection, And so yeah, it's talk it out, work it out. That's why Guru Maharaj gave the example. He would say about it, Ishtagoshti. You have an Ishtagoshti, a regular Ishtagoshti, and you praise. If you have some problem with another devotee, he would make him praise that devotee, and look at the good qualities, and think about. And so even then, that devotee, he think, wow, he actually thinks that of me. Oh, he's, and whatnot. So, and and like I went around India, we traveled a little bit together, and we were down in Jagannath Puri at the Ayurvedic college, and we're with, what was it, Shanta Maharaj, Moody Maharaj, and was that it, or was Tirtha Maharaj there? Yeah, and anyways, we give talks at all the colleges and travel around and stuff. It was funny, the head of the college, he fell asleep on some of the Maharaj's classes, But then afterwards, like, your class is the best, and he gives a super class. Dinabandhu gives a super class, very, very nice, very, very, like Guru Maharaj. Yeah, really, it was. I was very impressed. It was very Guru Maharaj-ish, you know what I mean, and way better than the other Maharajas, I thought. But it's just like Madhusudan Maharaj, the original Madhusudan from England. He said, like, it was so ridiculous. People who wouldn't give me the time of day when I was a Grihasta, literally the next day after I took sannyas, they're like, oh, Jai Maharaj, let me hear some Hari Katha from your lotus mouth. You know what I mean? But before he was in this, there was a Swami. He was just, dressed like this. They wouldn't even say anything to him. Do you think he really changed that much just because he's a Swami in one day? But they're like, and you see, like Prabhupada is an example. I mean, he didn't take sannyas till 59, I think. He joined them, when did he take initiation? I'm not even sure, 32, 33, something. But you even read his writings back when he was a Grihasta. Still, he's a pure devotee. He's always a pure devotee. Wasn't like, he just gradually by his sadhana became a pure devotee. But, you hear even some of his god brothers would call him nasty names. He's a Grihasta, he's a, whatever, So we can't judge on these externals. Go beyond it. Go beyond all the little titles and the, you know what I mean, and get to the heart of the matter. And once again, Guru Maharaj said, how do you judge them? How dear were they to their spiritual master? How close, how much did their spiritual master love them, and how much did they love their spiritual master? That's the ultimate thing, Yeah. And it's funny too, when you were asking about Guru Maharaj, even a simple thing like, I didn't, back then you had to write, there's no email, wasn't phone calls, anything like that, And I remember just a simple thing like I wrote some letter and, And Guru Maharaj, wrote back, after long last, we are hearing from Jagadananda Prabhu. This is happy news indeed. Just a little thing like that, just like, oh my God, how, what I mean, so sweet, And, yeah, and what were some of the other things, Guru Maharaj? Yeah. Yeah, and that's too. We have, these letters. I got letters from Srila Govinda Maharaj, letters from Srila Shiv Maharaj. It's so sweet. Like what treasures? What's that? Yeah, the blue, exactly.
Times or whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he's, he didn't need, he could, distance, time, irrelevant with him. I mean, once again, we're talking about magical things. The first trip to Hawaii, we did a program at this hall. We rented a hall and everything. And we probably, I think we were maybe expecting 50 people or something. We got like 150 or something. And I remember the puri dough, and I swear you can ask Madhu, the puri dough never decreased. It was like Kunti's, was it Kunti's? Draupadi, yeah, sorry, yeah, Draupadi's, exactly. Draupadi's pot, she got the blessing from Durvasa Muni, it just kept making puris. First I'm looking at it like, oh shoot, we still need another like 50, 75 puris and the things like this big. And it never got small. And then I remember I'm driving him there in Hawaii and he read a street sign, just a street sign. And it was like Guru Maharaj had said one time to Saraswati Thakur, just said something, and it was Vaikuntha sound. And it just hit me. Like, it was like more transcendental than any mantra I heard, anything. It was just like, And, like I was saying, he didn't necessarily even need the aerograms or whatever. I had written him, he had said something to me and it made me worried, like a year before. And so I wrote him, oh, what you had told me before, I'm very worried about this and whatnot. And so it took like 10 days to reach India. So 10 days later, when my letter would have reached India, for 2 nights in a row, I had a dream and he's pressing his lotus feet on my head. And I'm just going, just like, almost like melting, And then I get a letter back dated the same day I had the dreams. It said, no, Prabhu, do not worry. For a sincere person like you, there's no problem. You have nothing to worry about. And, just like, he's just, anyways, that we could have come in contact with such a person and have such dealings with him is beyond, that he would accept us into his family and his, it's so beautiful and sweet and of unlimited value, unlimited, anyways, Hare Krishna. All right, well, should we chant it all or?
I think there's another program with
Okay.
Krishna Kanta Maninja right now and
All right, well, we can go.
So it's
All right, well, I thank you all.
Jagadananda Prabhu ki jai. Manjal Kalpataru
Thank you all. Dhanyavad. Jai. Jai. Hare Krishna. Go. Jai.
Good to see you in the land.
I would rename the title of that class though. I would call it Uncensored. I call this Uncensored.
Well, that was still censored for me.
It depends on who the speaker is, For him, he's feeling censored, for the rest of us, it's fairly uncensored.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. And are we leaving the chairs as they are? Or? Okay.